Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, there seems to be a major climb down by Donald Trump. Donald Trump has put out a post now on tariffs. He says what few people understand is that we do very little business with India, but they do a tremendous amount of business with us. In other words, they sell us massive amounts of goods, their biggest client, but we sell them very little. Until now, a totally one-sided relationship, and it's been for many decades. The reason is that India has charged us until now such high tariffs, the most of any country, that our businesses are unable to sell into India. It's been a totally one-sided disaster. Also, India buys most of its oil and military products from Russia, very little from America. They have now offered to cut their tariffs to nothing. But it's getting late. They should have done so years ago. Just some simple facts for people to ponder. This is what Donald Trump has just said. We'll try and get Abhishek Kapoor live as well with us here in the newsroom. And Donald Trump has not mentioned the India-Pakistan ceasefire here. This comes on a day when all three leaders, Modi, Xi Jinping, Vladimir Putin, were in Tianjin, and those pictures relaying around the world. Donald Trump has spoken tariffs. In what is one of his first posts, by the way, Donald Trump has been he's been nowhere in the picture for the last almost 5 to 6 days. Hasn't been seen in public, hasn't been making any comments, and he says that it may be getting too late. But is he hinting about a climb down, or is he doubling down? That's the question. He says they've now offered to cut their tariffs to nothing, but it's getting late. They should have done so years ago. Does that mean that America is not willing to agree to the tariff cut? Let's see where the story goes. We will be looking at it in great detail in a short while from now. Let's cut back to the live reports from Tianjin.
Well, in fact, I spoke to some very senior journalists from across the globe, starting with Russia. In fact, I spoke to the Russian correspondent of Sputnik based out of Beijing. Then, of course, I also had the opportunity to speak to Russia Today correspondent who was here. And then finally, the Chinese perspective coming in from a very senior journalist. Listening to what each one of them had to say. You've been in Beijing for quite some time, spent a considerable number of years. I want to ask you, in the